to any particular area, nor any particular user, nor to serve beyond its capacity. The important part we get down here is number 6. It says the town thereafter, with the assistance of the Central Utah District Engineer, Department of Environmental Quality, stated has conducted a study and determined that we can issue an additional 89 connections. And notwithstanding determination with the additional water connections are available. The town has determined that in its best interests of its inhabitants and water users to impose annual limitations on connections due in part to an ongoing concern over fire protection and water tank capacity. They said that the additional connections are beyond not only the current water users, but also current holders of approved purchase connections who have faithfully paid minimum, basically that was kind of the standby fee that we were trying to get away from, and that we've required that these connections be made. Basically what this says, the existing ordinances and resolution, this resolution is designed to supplement and not replace existing resolutions or ordinances, except to the extent that there is an actual conflict. Previously adopted provisions relating to the connections and service fees, installation and extensions of water lines, responsibility for maintenance, replacement, and or upkeep of existing lines, and the transfer of water connections shall remain in force unless or to the extent specifically modified by the provision. Probably a lot of this, I don't know, is everybody, they get familiar with some of these things. Basically what we get down to, is this resolution kind of puts together all the water ordinances that we've got in place, and it kind of, and on the application for a water service, which is on that last page, what I'd like to do is kind of hit some of the highlights of the requirements, because it does speak down at the bottom. It says, in submitting this application, we understand that we will be bound by the Torrey Town ordinances and resolutions, including particularly Resolution 208 governing the acquisition of water connections. It's kind of, I think it's kind of ambiguous, kind of leaves us wide open, making sure that everybody's read all of these things. But what I'd like to do on that application is put some of it, just so that it's all on one paper, or at least on the application. And basically kind of what I'd like to lean toward as far as on the application, and it is our responsibility, and it goes through all the other ordinances all the way back to 92, all the way back, and it covers delinquent notices.
Yeah, we need to address that again. We did once, but I think we already had something in place, and so unless you're going to change it totally.
And so we've got quite a list that we need to deal with, and like I said, that's all part of what we need to address.
The old one says it's an 18% charge.
And then we changed it a little bit, and we said we turned it off because they requested, can you, but you can't.
Absolutely.
There are requirements, there are resolutions that, we have to put the water to use within 45 days. Right? That needs to be hooked up. And basically what I'm thinking about doing is maybe if there's any suggestions that you might have for the application process that you would like to see, huh?
You have to streamline that a little bit.
Right, it just seems kind of, I'd like, you know, just so everybody's on the same page with what we're requiring when we do a water hookup, you know, so that we know. And once it's signed for, you know, they realize that it's their responsibility to follow our ordinances, and abide by our rules and regulations. And kind of an overview, you know, Torrey Town is dedicated to providing safe culinary water in ample supply to its citizens. The culinary water system provides a limited resource and should be technically and financially viable system. Torrey Town assumes complete and entire ownership, management, and control of all the waterworks, installations, and right-of-ways, easements, and connections to the Torrey Town culinary water systems up to and including the water meter. The charges and fees levied for connections or installations shall be established by resolution, which they already are. Supervision, which kind of comes down to us. The operations, compliance, and personnel of the entire Torrey Town culinary water system shall be under the direction and control of the Torrey Town Council, which may appoint a culinary water administrator. The culinary, I'm going back on, probably looking. Well, like I said, I can go all the way back to the 92, 95, and that's what I'm saying. That's kind of why I want to get these all put together.
Make one.
Right, I mean, because we could be digging through a lot of these things to find our ordinance.
May I suggest that you have this done by, you know, our lawyer?
Well, it is, they're all in here.
Right.
And once we, oh yeah, once we get it, the application process, and I'll give it to Richard and have him just kind of check it over so he knows. But I'd like to see that our application, you know, contain, you know, all this information so that, you know, so we don't have to dig out the 92, the 95, you know, all the way back and get the resolutions that were adopted, you know, just so it's kind of all together.
Compile.
And, you know, I mean, we've got ours here, but if somebody was to require, just to make it a little bit easier on ourselves and, you know, the public that we serve, you know, and basically, you know, what our policies say, you know, the connections, when necessary in the performance of the duties, employees of the Torrey Town Culinary Water Department shall be allowed to be on private property if necessary to perform duties. And that we be in compliance with.
This page, I think this covers almost everything, just this and this, that's in the 2002 one.
Right, and see, in which the 2008 can, you know, all it is a resolution that we, you know, that we cover all everything that came before, unless it, you know, it's in conflict with it.
Right, but if you want to put like specific things that, you know, attached to the application, I think these are good.
Right. Do you want to read those?
Well, if you, yeah, I guess.
Read them out loud.
What are you reading?